Hey, what's up, guys? Toogie here, back again. A very tired Toogie, but a Toogie nonetheless. We are back with another episode of my Hartford Whalers franchise mode series, and today, despite being tired, we are focused, and we are determined to do whatever we have to do to get this team back on track. Now, in the last episode, we started to put this team... we put this team to the test. There were a lot of risky moves, having Dirksen in the top six, and, maybe not having the bottom six exactly where we should have it, but giving certain players a chance. And that strategy hasn't entirely paid off, with certain players not exactly pulling their own weight. Just in general, whether in the bottom six or the top six, David Pastrnak leads our team in points with 23 points, but 23 points in 35 games for somebody who you would kind of hope would be towards the top of the league in scoring, which means 80, 90 points. I don't think that's an unreasonable expectation for him. So, definitely, there's concern. There is concern with this team because, let's be honest, if you think back to how this team started, we made a lot of trades for a lot of prospects, and it was originally about building through the draft. Then we managed to get our hands on Marner and Pastrnak. We made the big trade for Lucas Leidecker. But aside from that, who are the players that have really panned out? We drafted Dirksen. He's looking like he might have a chance to at least be a decent NHLer. We drafted Nolan Patrick, but he's not going to be the 88 overall or more player that we thought. We acquired Daniel Sprong in a trade. That was a good move. Kosarenkov drafted. Max Jones, we acquired him. Taylor Radish. Even someone like Sebastian Olsen, a lot of the players that we thought would be the future of this team. Valimaki, who we did acquire him. He was drafted by Toronto. In this sim, we ended up with Liljegren, and he hasn't really panned out. Point being, if it wasn't for the acquisition of some of these players, whether through the free agent list or acquiring Roman Josi, I don't really know where this team would be right now because so many of our players haven't developed. So we're trying to build this house, but we don't have a very solid foundation whatsoever. So it's a very slippery slope that we find ourselves on right now. And really, the only option is to go for it and hope for the best or retool, if not rebuild. So I'm thinking for this season, we will do our best to try and, turn our fortunes around. Because you got to think of it. Last year, we did go to the Cup final. Despite not having that solid foundation, we were able to find success. So really, it makes sense to go for the Cup again this season, no matter how kind of bleak that current situation looks. Another factor, of course, is whether or not certain players are going to want to re-sign. But like we've seen with certain players, say in the Montreal series, oftentimes we just have to offer somebody a little bit more money, and they are willing to accept. Anyway, we will get right down to business here after like 3 or 4 minutes. So yeah, right down to business. But let's start. Let's start here because we are going to be making some moves. I have scouted out some plans, and the first thing we're going to do is, unfortunately, we are going to give up on Juuso Valimaki. I just don't think he's going to make it. He's waiver eligible. We're going to cut ties with him. In return, we are going to look to pick up Torrey Krug, who is on an expiring deal and, can certainly add a bit to this team. Now, he is expensive, of course, but at this point, we might as well give it a shot. And we do have a couple of solid players that we could use to make this happen. And mainly, it's this trio right here of the 57 overall Tennell, the 57 overall Lindros, and the 58 overall Abney, all of whom are 20 years old. This trio of players, I don't have much faith in them making it, admittedly. So they are definitely players that we could use. Not to mention, it's like you look at the prospects on this team. How many low elites do we have, but how much confidence do you have in any of them making it? Including Tyrone Bodens, who we can't send back down. He would be claimed on waivers, so we're going to have to look to cut ties with him as well. We'll also look to pick up somebody with an expiring deal. McInnes works, I guess. Yeah, Ryan McInnes works. Of course, we're still going to have to do a little bit to close the gap here, but that's not too big of an issue. Keep in mind, we do have the 4 first-round picks, of course, so giving up a second-rounder might not be the end of the world. And honestly, looking at the value, that deal might be kind of close. So let's tack on a 4th and a 6th here, just to safety net it. I wanted to see how close we are. Will it go through straight up? Probably not, no. But it's bound to be relatively close. Again, I'm not opposed to giving up a second-round pick to make this happen. And like I said, maybe this works, maybe this doesn't. Maybe we miss the playoffs and then have to face that reality that we are in a lot of trouble. That we are not exactly built upon the most, the most solid of foundations at this point. And right now, I really want to look what players would really be worth kind of cutting ties with here. I'm mainly looking at the age as we scroll through. To be honest, there really isn't anybody that's too big of a concern. Jorgensen, maybe? So actually, never mind. That plan there of trying to find somebody in that method isn't really going to work. So we could, like I mentioned, give up someone like Lindros or Abney. And you know what? I think Lindros is probably the perfect guy. We'll keep Tanell, who has a bit more value. So Terry Lindros, who we picked up off of the free agent list, if I'm not mistaken, we could be seeing him leave to Boston. And we'll pick up Emil Johansson in return. And again, we will safety net this just in case they have the edge value-wise. Will that go through? No, it won't. They'd have to put Valimaki on waivers once they pick them up. Damn it. Well, all I got to do, I think, is just kind of make sure it's a bit one-sided in their favor, and they should just take the deal. It shouldn't be too big of a problem. How about just straight up? Still rejected because they'd have to put Valimaki on waivers. I don't really know why they'd have to put Valimaki on waivers. Could he not just replace Torrey Krug? How about Nashville's 4th rounder? Still not enough. Oh my God, really? Come on. Oh, come on. How about the Washington 3rd? There we go. Hey, we have to take a loss on the deal, but we do pick up Torrey Krug. I mean, with draft picks, I'm willing to throw away a couple of extra draft picks just because of the first rounders that we have. So Postma and Johansson will be sent down for the moment. And of course, forward-wise, we are pretty much good to go. Now, I have to be honest here, looking at this team, I'm not really too impressed with Ryan McInnes. I'm going to send him down as well. Sebastian Olsson's not safe. Essentially, we're going to wait for Connor Roberts to come back, and Sebastian Olsson's going to be sent down. Trade value-wise, it's really not even there. So when you look at what this team is going to be, I mean, this is pretty much it, and then just replace replace Olsson with Connor Roberts, and I'm thinking that's what the team should be. Although there was a player I was looking at, we could send down Kosarenkov, could drop Dirksen down. You know what, Olsson, I'm sorry, buddy. I think you got to go. And then of course defensively here, somebody needs to be outside of the top 4. You know what? I'm gonna put McDonough with Liljegren. We'll have Yossi Krug, Provorov, and Gardner. I mean, that's a decent defense as long as everyone, is happy and decides not to complain. That's a pretty solid defense. I think it's time to add a veteran to this team. Now, the one concern is I couldn't find a backup goalie on the trade block right now. And, obviously, it's easier to trade for somebody when they're actually on the block. But anyway, when I mentioned a veteran, I mean a veteran from the Detroit Red Wings. Henrik Zetterberg, 42 years old, still an 82 overall, has 29 points this year on an expiring deal. He could be a decent little addition to that top 6, and I'm willing to give him a shot. Now, as far as who we get rid of to make this happen, of course, I could tack Sebastian Olsson onto this deal, but I mean, again, here I'll even show his value. I mean, we're not going to get anything for him. I'm sure he'll clear waivers. I would be shocked if he didn't. So right now it's just a matter of finding somebody we can add to this deal, and I think somebody like Korobov would probably be perfect. Let's be honest, what are the odds that Korobov becomes anything? So I am alright with adding him to this deal. And then if we look at the lowest potential players, we'll add Strimbu to this. And we'll see how close this is to going through. Actually, this might be the perfect time to just tack on a bunch of these players that we're never going to sign to try and get as much value back as we possibly can. So we have Nathaniel Dick, Nordqvist, and Hamhuis. And we'll see what else we can add on to this deal here as far as draft picks go. And we'll take it from there. So yeah, I'm just going to safety net it with these picks. I just want to see how far off we are, right? That's all. I mean, we're not really giving up anything here to acquire Zetterberg. 4th and a 6th. Alright, so I had a feeling the 3rd round pick was a bit too much, but there you go. Quick and easy. Easy as you like. We have acquired Henrik Zetterberg, and he is now our new leading scorer, because that is how dire of a situation it was. So again, allow me to send down Sebastian Olsen. I mean, cool if he makes it, because, I mean, yeah. Obviously, it's going to be pretty cool if he makes it. It does create a bit of a conflict with the team for when Connor Roberts returns, not Max Jones. Of course, Max Jones is healthy. As it is, we had to reacquire Max Jones. So it does create a little bit of a dilemma. But Zetterberg, Patrick, and Sprong, I don't think anyone can deny. That's at least an interesting lineup. I am intrigued to see how they do. So I'm going to have to change Kosarenkov to a center and Zetterberg to a left wing really quickly. But we'll see what happens when Connor Roberts comes back. I mean, I'm not really sure who the scratched player will be. That is one of the reasons why I was hesitant to make that move. But I feel like it's worth it. I mean, I might as well. I'm concerned about Connor Roberts' development. How weird is that to see Zetterberg in Whalers colors? But I'm a little bit concerned about Connor Roberts' development. You could talk about, at that point, potentially trading Max Jones again. Maybe Kosarenkov isn't the player that we need him to be. But you know what? We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. And knowing our luck so far this season, there will be more injuries anyway. So we're not really going to have to worry about it because we're going to need depth players to begin with. So I think this is going to work out relatively well, I hope. And if it doesn't, then that certainly raises a few questions when it comes to our future and how we approach, building this team. I mean, certainly this team hasn't, like the build of this team and the way we've progressed, it hasn't exactly gone as I would have thought. Surprise, surprise, that it's been a little bit strange. It's been a little bit strange and not quite what I had planned. Now, also really quickly, I do want to call up Postma. Yeah, because otherwise Jorgensen doesn't get ice time. So at the very least, we will call up Paul Postma and his ridiculous contract. And we'll go see what's happening down in the AHL. And then we'll finally get into the Sims. So the AHL team is going to be looking a little bit better. Unfortunately, Lakonen and Watson are now scratched. But I'm alright with that for the moment, because odds are things aren't going to stay this way for too long. There will be an injury. Someone will come back from injury, and I'll have to edit the lines again anyway. But let's go ahead and finally sim a couple of games here. The plan was originally to hopefully have this team be doing well and not have to make those trades so that we could sim through the entire season. That hasn't exactly happened. So, nothing but curveballs in this series for the Hartford Whalers. Connor Roberts is back. He is 100%. So now it's just a matter of what do we do? Oh, what do we do? Because I don't think we can send him down at this point, can we? 22? No, we could send Connor Roberts down. You might argue it's not the best for his development, but that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to send him down. Hopefully he rebounds a little bit. I can't imagine he'll get too pissed off about it. I mean, he'll obviously be disappointed about it. But Yeah, let's send him down. We'll go best lines. He's still a 76. That at least makes the AHL team, look a little bit better. And we'll kind of take advantage of that and see what happens here for the rest of the season. Or at least through January. I mean, I highly doubt we're going to sim the entire episode or the entire season, in the remainder of this episode. You never know. It could happen. It could happen, but I wouldn't bet on it. Because something's going to happen. Something always happens. There you go. Case in point. New acquisition Torrey Krug goes down to a hernia for a month. It's always something. This is just not our season. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the problem is. Actually, we already have Postma. We already have Postma just sitting there, so he might as well be the player that gets the ice time as a result of this. The good news is Liedekers is up to an 88, so he is progressing at an unreal rate, which obviously helps us out quite a bit, that he is continuing to progress. Oh, let's see. So you know what? We will actually go with the current... Maybe Gardner, Postma, McDonough, Liljegren, Provorov, Yossi? And hopefully Jake Gardner's not complaining about that. You know what? I think that's what we're going to go for here. Obviously, having Postma in the lineup, not ideal. You could argue I should have kept Valimaki, but I think Valimaki would have been much more likely to kind of decline in overall, much like Postma's already doing. So, and of course, the difference with Postma, too, as he is now injured, my God, is, of course, we have him to, kind of help out with the cap crunch. Wow, we cannot catch a break. I wouldn't mind calling up Bill McIntyre. He is waiver eligible. Hell of a defensive D-man. You know what, though? I mean, if he gets claimed, it's not the end of the world, although he might make the NHL next year. You know what? We'll play it safe. We're going to call up Casey Ribeiro, who we signed as a free agent. Wow, this season has not gone the way I thought it would at all. I don't know what to make of it, really. I'm somewhat panicking, admittedly. Alright, so what if we go Yossi Gardner, Provorov with Liljegren, and then the veteran McDonough with Ribeiro. How well will that work out? We're about to find out how well that will work out. We'll go best lines down in the AHL, and we will continue to sim. I mean, a decent record. Maybe a few more wins than losses at this stage. We'll keep the team the same for the moment because someone will probably come back from injury before we play Chicago. And actually, you know what? I'm just going to leave Ribeiro in. So let's sim a little bit further. So we lose 5-1 to Chicago. We get the 2-1 shootout win over Edmonton. And now Torrey Krug is back. That is indeed what I was waiting for. And I think right now will obviously be a good time to take a look at the stats for our team. So we'll send Ribeiro back. And let's see. So again, we'll go best lines. Swap those players around on defense. We'll go McDonough, Liljegren again. Yossi Krug. Gardner and Provorov. And down in the AHL, let's just go best lines for the moment, for the sake of time, and we'll be good to go, as Torrey Krug is injured again. EA, you really screwed me there. Like, you really, really screwed me there. Now, here's the thing. I have the new settings applied as to where it's not supposed to, it's supposed to alert me when the player is 100%. Now, of course, I noticed that Torrey Krug still had the injured icon. I assumed it would go away before the next game. How nice of EA to have it not go away and have him be immediately re-injured. That's low. That is low, EA. And you should be ashamed of yourselves for that, as we just lost Torrey Krug for another month because this game literally breaks its own rules of, oh, okay, well, you have it set so that we won't alert you until someone's fully healthy. Oh, hey, he's not fully healthy, but he's back. Oh, yeah, no, I can't see why you wouldn't assume that he'll be 100% before the next game. No, not at all. The bright side in all of this is despite all these injuries, we are still just 1 point back of the Nashville Predators, and we are very much in postseason contention. So let's take a look at some stats. Goaltending-wise, it's a bit of a disaster. Anthony Stolarz has rebounded in this episode, but Malcolm Subban, not quite the goaltender we need him to be. Of course, Torrey Krug has, struggled to stay healthy. Yossi's having a decent year. Provorov's having a decent year. Ryan McDonough really hasn't done a whole hell of a lot. Neither has Jake Gardiner. Wow. What do we have you for, if not for the offense? Might be time to look at an alternative to Jake Gardiner. Offensively, Liedecker's gone up in overall, only 29 points. 35 points for Marner. 36 for Pasternak. 36 points, 51 games. Again, still not what I'm looking for. I mean, Nolan Patrick's, again, here, let's go look at the league-wide scoring. And we'll look at some of the players who are near the top of the board, and you'll tell me if it's unreasonable to expect that out of David Pasternak. So, I didn't mean to go to the calendar. That's where the damn, stats listing board used to be in the old games. Well, let's take a look here at the league-wide player stats, and the fact that, Henrik Zetterberg is leading this team in points is honestly kind of embarrassing. So let's see here. Tarasenko a 92, alright. Joshua Ho-Sang is an 87 overall and has 63 points. Unreasonable to want more out of David Pasternak. Is it? He's 3 overall points better than Pacioretty. He's 5 overall points better than Logan Couture, 2 points better than Panarin, 4 points better than Galchenyuk, 5 points better than JT Miller, 6 points better than Joe Pavelski. I mean, I don't think it's unreasonable. Nail friggin' Yakupov has more points this season than David Pasternak. Alex DeBrincat. Let's see, who else is here? What other ridiculous name is higher up on the scoring list? Kyle Palmieri, not quite ridiculous. Let's see, who else? We got rookies that are up there. Max Domi, Wenberg, Cam Atkinson, Bo Horvat, Sam Girard, the defenseman Sam Girard, 81 overall defenseman Samuel Girard has more points than David Pasternak. Ryan Strome has more points than David frickin' Pasternak. It's ridiculous. The struggle is that, of course, we are trying to go for the cup. But I have to admit, despite only being 1 point outside of the postseason, I am incredibly pissed off, and I don't think that even if we sneak into the playoffs that we're going to do that much. Unlike last year where there was actually like this, this air of confidence about this team, I have no confidence in this team. I mean, I'm not against the idea of trading Mitch Marner and David Pasternak and Henrik Zetterberg at the deadline. I'm not against that. We could go with Patrick and Sprong, and basically, we'll make a whole brand new second line. I don't know, we'll call players up, or whoever the hell we acquire. Call up Connor Roberts, Olsen, and I don't friggin' know, whoever else. I mean, again, it's tough because we're only 1 point outside of the playoffs, but it's almost like, what's the point of going to the postseason if we're just going to get killed? I mean, Malcolm Subban's not getting the job done. Neither is Stolarz down in the AHL. Mikonov's not going to make it. Like, his progression's it's stalled. He's not going to make it. We don't have, that goalie for the future. And Korpisalo, the guy we took in the expansion draft, like the gem of this team, didn't really pan out. So, we can look at this team from top to bottom here, and you know what? I think we have a major decision on our hands, guys. Maybe I'm overreacting, and we're only 1 point out of the playoffs, but really, like I mentioned it at the start of this episode, and it's not like I'm just realizing this now, okay? I've known about this, but again, when we acquired David Pasternak and Mitch Marner, I told you guys, if we do this, we're going to go for it, even if it might not be the smartest thing, and you guys said go for it, so we did. But it's like, you look at this team. Mikanov still has good value. He is not going to make it. He's not going to be an NHLer. Backup at best. Now would be a great time to cut ties with him. I mean, Malcolm Subban, it's just, I mean, he had a good postseason. He had a good season last year, but this year he's come back down to reality. You know, Allen, he's not going to make it. I mean, the best goalie we have right now in our system is Kuhlman. That's it. That's all we have. There's nothing for goaltending in the pipeline at all. So what are we going to do? Are we going to trade Subban and Stolarz for 2 other goaltenders? You look at our defense. Yeah, I mean, we have Roman Josi, so the plan's to win the cup now. We have Provorov, which even if we were to retool, he could still be within that window. I mean, he has 25 points this year, which isn't too bad. I mean, he is obviously a well-rounded player and a legit top 2 defenseman. Ryan McDonough, 33 years old at this point, not doing much for us at all. Attribute-wise, he's still good. We could cut ties with him. We could cut ties with Torrey Krug. Jake Gardner, I'm already not impressed with, and if we decide to go for the postseason, I'm going to trade Gardner anyway. And in the system, we have Ribeiro and Tunnell. So basically, we have Ribeiro because of Liljegren. I mean, he's not going to progress beyond what he already is. He is a third-pairing offensive defenseman. He never turned into what we needed him to turn into. And it's dire straits in the system from there. And then you look at our forwards. Yes, we have Liedeke. We have Patrick. We have Sprong, even. We have a couple of decent pieces here. But I don't think this is the team. I mean, and again, I said at the beginning of the season when I made the moves that I made that it was risky to go with these players. But I was referring to the bottom 6 players. I wasn't referring to a David Pastrnak or a Mitch Marner. If we're going to miss the postseason, that's fine. But Pastrnak and Marner should both be over 70, 80 points. And it should be very evident that the bottom 6 is the reason as to why we're not going to the postseason. And I mean, really, when you think about it, that's not exactly the case. We'll go look at our team scoring again. I don't necessarily blame the bottom 6. It's just we, again, are stuck with a group of underperforming players, except this time they decided not to wait until the postseason to just absolutely suck. Again, 36 points in 51 games. Good for David Pastrnak. Look at what Joshua Ho-Sang's doing right now. Look at what Joe Pavelski is doing right now, though. That's not good enough. That's not good enough. Same for Mitch Marner. Not good enough from those 2. Daniel Sprong basically led our team in points all of last year. I mean, if we look at who else here, I mean, hey, Kosarenkov on pace for 30 points. Same for Tierney, same for Connor Brown. That's exactly what I expect out of a bottom 6 player, is hopefully for 30 points. If you're a third liner, maybe 40. I mean, Olsen was a disappointment. I'm not denying that. But I don't know, guys. I can't help but think that it would be best suited for the Whalers at this point to kind of cut ties, you know, cut bait with our current situation, despite the fact we're only 1 point out of the postseason. I think we need to rebuild. I think we need to get rid of these players. I think we need to get rid of David Pastrnak. We need to get rid of Mitch Marner. And we need to try and build up again. The last time we built up, again, we ended up with these players like a Juuso Valimaki that, for the most part, a lot of these players did not pan out. And as it is, David Pasternak's going to want an ungodly contract to stay. So with that said, I mean, I think I've made my intentions pretty clear. We are going to end this episode, and I do want to hear from you guys. What do you think we should do? I want to know your opinion. I want to know what you would do in the next episode. Would you keep the team together? Would you try to find different reinforcements to make that postseason run? We made the Stanley Cup final in the prior year. Or do you kind of agree with me that, you know, despite doing that, it was a little bit of a fluke. We overperformed, and we need to do what's best for this team long term. Because as it is on the market, even for goaltenders, cheaper goaltenders, I mean, do we want to pay Peter Mrazek $4.9 million for the next 2 years? .923 save percentage. He's only played 12 games. I mean, he had a 913, a 914, and 800s. It's like there's no way we're going to trade for Mrazek. I mean, yeah, we don't have to trade for somebody who's on the block, but obviously it's easier to do so. And, more than likely you're not going to have to give up a whole hell of a lot to make it happen. But it's like, if you look at who's on the block here, the answer is pretty much nobody. So I could sit here and, continually explain my side of things, the way I'm viewing things, but I think the only thing I can do right now is just to end this episode. I want to see your feedback and see if you convince me otherwise. But as it stands, despite only being 1 point outside of the postseason, I mean, hell, we're only 9 points back of Winnipeg, although they do have a game at hand. I don't think this core is the core that's going to lead us to success. And I'm thinking in the next episode, we might have to just blow this up and start over. And we already have a decent head start with 4 first-round picks in the upcoming draft, and we could make it even more if we, decide to go down this path. So that will do it for this one. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, feel free to support the video and the channel. It's, as always, greatly appreciated as we approach 7,000 subscribers. My God. So many wild blueberries. So many. Not to mention we passed 5K follows on Twitch. Unbelievable. Your support is unbelievable, and I thank you very much for it. Oh, God. What's going to happen with the Hartford Whalers, though, in the next episode? That is the question. I'm looking forward to it one way or another, and I hope you feel the same way. Until next time, guys, have a good one. Take it easy, and I'll catch you later.